How you doing today? Today we're gonna be talking to Royal, and today we're gonna be talking about spiritual journey, spiritual path. Um, Royal, I believe. Well, I'm gonna let her tell us. And this is for those who are want to start on a spiritual journey. Um, I think she's just cleaning her phone there, so she wants to look sexy.
I'm trying to fix the volume. Okay.
Okay.
Alrighty.
So Royal, tell us a little about who is Royal. I know Royal is an artist. I know I know you from the Philippines, but I want to know that spiritual side of Royal. What drove Royal to start digging around and joining different spiritual practices? Now you can share this if you want to Mellow Mystics, or if you want to, or anybody could please share this into Mellow Mystics. So tell us a little bit about you, Royal.
So my real name is Marilu, but I go by Royal. It's easier to say, and I've kind of like built a persona around that. But I am from the Philippines. I came here in '95, and I began my spiritual path. I used to be Catholic, and
Mm-hmm.
I had my
Yeah.
confirmation and
Mm-hmm.
um, and everything through Catholicism, but I just didn't resonate with it as much as I used to. And then I was in that phase where everything was a conspiracy, and looked uh, I looked at all the horrible things that the Catholic Church has done. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it just kind of turned me off. So I kind of came into more of a agnostic or an omnist path where I was just kind of cherry picking from different religions like Buddhism and Hinduism and all that. And
Hmm.
it wasn't until two two years ago when I had this weird feeling that to look look to my ancestors. So I was like, I wonder where my ancestors came from. The Philippines was colonized for 333 years, so I wonder if I have like some sort of Spaniard or what other indigenous kind of DNA that I had. So I took a DNA test and I found out that there was no, despite being conquered by the Spaniards for 333 years, my lineage didn't have um Spanish blood. Sorry, my dog. Hey,
Oh, it's okay.
all right. Um,
Okay.
yeah. So the spiritual path now with, a more animistic, multi-deity path came from that one feeling a few years ago when I was like, discover your past, discover your ancestral lineage. And I didn't find much about it because, we weren't, the Philippines didn't really take a lot of like handwritten records, and anything that we was written back then was probably destroyed by the Spaniards. So I just
Mm-hmm.
kind of felt like discovering spirituality rooted in indigenous beliefs, and as well as just picking and choosing like occult um, knowledge.
But was it like a little inner voice? Was it something in your heart? Did you feel like something was missing, that led you, like saying, I don't believe in this, I don't have faith in this? Did Royal get the little inner self, the little inner voice that said, look for something better than this? Well, not better, because I don't criticize religion. I don't put down religion. I put down religious people. Okay,
Mhm.
that make things up that are not part of those cultures or those religions. It's not the religions that are bad. It's the people that practice religion and use religions for their own purposes or to gain something. That's what I'm totally against. But I want to know if how did Royal get that call to join what she practices now?
It definitely was that inner voice that you mentioned. It was just out of the blue, totally random. Something told me like you should really look towards like what your ancestors knew. And so I bought a book about, Filipino shamanism and
Hmm.
just the kind of practices that they did there, and I wanted to get closer to learning more spirituality from my ancestral ways, but there's really not that much around Houston. So currently, I am training as a priestess in the Green Witch tradition with
Oh,
Cam.
wow.
Yeah,
Of
so
what? Ham?
Cam, Camille
Oh, oh.
Catkin. She's on Mellow Mystics. Hi, Cam.
Sorry, my dogs want to play too. So, so is that like when you say green, do we are we talking about like woodworking and could you like explain a little bit to us about that for those who don't know what Greenwich practices are?
Um, Green Witch is just the path of make using and honoring herbs and the earth, basically earthbound type magic,
Hmm.
nature magic. And to me, astrology is nature. We're working with the planets, and the planets are pretty much nature based. I mean, people are thinking like, oh, just herbs and um, forest and just all that stuff, but everything is nature to me. And
Okay,
so
okay. Um, but when you were talking earlier about the Philippines, I know because I did some research on the Filipino people. And they practice also a lot of what we call espiritismo when they bring the saints and mix with the Catholic tradition. They also practice a form of like voodoo. It's not voodoo exactly, but it's also spiritual magic using the saints, using those energies, which is also a very beautiful practice. Um, there's not much information out there. I wish there was, but it goes tied in more into espiritismo. Um, but the Greenwich, wow, that's I honestly I don't have that much knowledge on that, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that have more knowledge. But is do you feel like that's a calling that part, or it was it because you just found that side?
I think it's a stepping stone
Hmm.
towards whatever I don't even know what my spiritual goals are. I just know that I'm just being led by, or I'm being guided by a force, and I'm just whatever knowledge is available for me. If it resonates with me, I want to learn from it. Greenwich is amazing. It's taught me a lot of discipline and how I can work with herbs as my allies, and magical allies, and as well as medicinal ways. So I'm
Hmm.
learning the medicinal and the magical aspects of herbs, which is
Now, when
really
you
which is
okay,
really
go ahead.
helpful because even though I don't know any Filipino shamans, I'm pretty sure this path. I mean, I'm working with the herbs, and I'm sure that that path is similar, working with herbs, because I know Filipino shamans use that too. And I'm talking about
Hmm.
before colonialism, the espiritismo. That's
Hmm.
um, I think after the Spaniards came to
Yeah,
the Philippines. Yeah.
yeah, where the Spanish culture got involved with the like the Tainos did, and the Filipinos natives, and they mix all those cultures. Now, for those watching, if you want to share this, that's why we do this on our regular Facebook, so it could be shared. So if you guys want to share the video, it's fine. That way, we have more questions and stuff that we could ask Royal. If she can answer, then I'll be happy to answer whatever I can. But yes, your culture, and I believe that what you practice might be, like you said, the stepping stone, the door that opens to get you into that practices, and then later on, your ancestors might grab you from there and say, "Okay, now that you open the door, let us guide you and teach you our ways." So
Right.
it's
Yeah.
just the door. So yeah, I'm glad you did that. So how did you go about finding? Because I'm pretty sure that you found somebody who guided you or is teaching you this. What is the feeling that you got when you met the person or your teacher or what we say in our culture, godfather, padrino. What was that feeling did you get? What were you looking when you found the right teacher? Because I know we discussed something about, remember a few days ago about putting them on a pedestal.
Right, right. Yes. So it's a bunch of synchronistic like situations that happened, kind of like that one quote, when the student is ready, the teacher appears.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of like that, because whenever I had that one nagging feeling to do my DNA test and look towards more spiritual, non-denominational practices, I pulled a tarot spread, and in it was the Queen of Cups and the
Mm-hmm.
Queen of Wands and the Ten of Cups. And it looked like
Mm-hmm.
they were facing each other and they had their arms linked together. So
Mm-hmm.
I posted that, and I predicted, or the tarot spread predicted, that I will find some women that I can become allies with. And then when I posted that spread and that reading, a bunch of people were like, "Oh, you're into tarot? Me too." And so there was a group that was started, and in there is how I met Cam. So because of that tarot spread that I posted, a group was created, and I met like-minded people that were also, trying to learn about their path. And then Cam came in, and I asked about, apprenticeship, and she said that she needed, like, to get to know me. There was an energy exchange, and it was all very, kind of silent. I can't know too much until I actually get there. So that really piqued my interest, and I wanted to learn more. And I wanted to build a relationship with Cam because she seemed like a very knowledgeable, really smart, and highly, she's an expert in her field.
Mm-hmm. But before you met Kim, were there like different other people that you met in your life that, that you gave their confidence? Like, and this is what happens to most of us. We meet those spiritual teachers that we think are gonna be the ones, but then there's a disappointment or something. Did you have to go through that? Were there obstacles in your life where you had to learn from those obstacles? Let's, like, for example, meet people that didn't resonate with your energy. Um, did you go through anything like that?
I go through I went through that, but not in with the teachers. I meet people, and as I kind of feel them out, and I find something what that I do put them on a pedestal, because they seem to know so much. And one,
Mm-hmm.
they're not like gods or robots, so they make mistakes. Um, and it kind of turned me off. So I had to really learn to be accepting, and even the bad teachers can teach you something. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm still trying to learn.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that they're not good at what they do. It's just that I had these biases that I have to learn to overcome. Not
Yeah.
overcome, but learn to go through.
Yeah, for example, I had spiritual teachers, when I first started my path, that had a lot of more drama in their life than what they were teaching. They had a lot of drama, and and they were fighting. They made videos, and they were like throwing at each other. And I'm like, well, if this is what you're trying to teach your students, if this is what you're trying to teach your followers, then I don't want to learn that. I don't want drama. I don't want to be like fighting on YouTube with another spiritista or talking bad. I believe that as spiritual teacher to be a little bit humble. You know, and now this
Taking that.
somebody's, somebody's calling me.
Oh,
It happens. People call, they know I'm live and they keep calling me just to mess around with me. uh, it's like they appear on Facebook and they see me that I'm doing a live video and they're still calling me. So, um, then it's like, ask us a question. I'm like, dude, just
Are
Sorry.
you still there? Okay.
Okay, so um, now in these practices, do they do how do they show you? Is it like a negative energy and a positive energy practice as
Uh,
well?
there is mostly, well, there's no baneful magic that we're trying to learn. We're not being taught how to. We can only do defense, like shielding, or we learn how to protect ourselves, but not offensively. More like a defense,
Hmm.
but not offense.
Okay, so is this tied in into Wicca as well, like Wicca?
Yes.
As a part? Okay, so you work a lot with the elements like feathers, the earth element, and stuff.
Hmm.
But what is interesting that you bring astrology into this. For example, in my practices, they don't work with astrology. I bring astrology into my readings. The zodiacs. So for those that do practice, I believe astrology is like a major um, factor in readings. What brought you to start studying astrology?
I think that was my very first like magical thing because it in the beginning, people who get into astrology, they don't think it's magical just yet. They just think like, oh, it's predicting your personality. But then once you get more into it, you realize it's all magic. Um,
Hmm.
and with the Green Witch Path, it's more of a guide and not strict rules. So she teaches us a bunch of stuff in regards to the path, but then I incorporate a lot of different things into my practice. I use astrology, and then sometimes I'll find something in root work that resonates with me, and then I'll apply it to some of my magic. I use sigils and all that. But astrology has been something has been that has helped me and has been really successful whenever I do my workings. So astrological timing has been really successful for me.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of keys, and I encourage a lot of different practitioners to go into astrology because it helps a lot. It helps a lot with your spiritual practices. It helps a lot with different things. Yes, Amy, he called me. Just let him know that I'll call him right back. This is more important right now.
Hmm.
So it helps a lot with the readings and going into magical work.
Hmm.
If you know the person's, like for example, what month they were born, you can do different things with that month. You can work with that element, with that person, with it's the fire element, the earth element, the water element, the earth element. You can do working with that. Um, have you ever done that type of work like that, like work with the elements that has to do with astrology?
Yes. So I collect waters. So I'll put waters out during a special planetary alignment, like during the eclipses. I'll put water out that has crystals or quartz around it or in the water itself. And that's honing the energy of that astrological alignment so I can work with it later on. So if I want, let's say I want to be more brave or I want to help somebody gain more courage, I have water for the solar eclipse in Leo. So Leo is the lion and that helps you with bravery. I can work with that water that I collected during the solar eclipse in Leo and put it in the working.
Okay. What are your thoughts about like Wicca? Because a lot of people say Wicca is like a lower form of magic compared to the African traditions. What is your intake on that? I mean, for me, magic is magic. You can go against the best, tapped out there, and I've seen people with a glass of water mess them up really bad. Give us your input on that.
In some circles, it's basically, don't do any harm and harm will return back to you, um, threefold or tenfold if you do something. I kind of agree. I kind of don't agree. I'm kind of on the fence about it because in real life, if somebody is harming us, are we just gonna stand there? You know what I mean? We're gonna wanna fight back. We're gonna wanna use violence to shield ourselves and maybe also subdue the opponent. So that's also a form of protection. I'm not just gonna like, block and continue to block. I want to stop them. Um,
Mhm.
but I haven't experienced that much negativity in order for me to use any baneful magic, which and I'm hoping not to attract all of that. Um, so my stance might be different when something bad happens. Right now I'm like, I don't know, but maybe if something like really terrible happens, I'll be like, I have to protect myself.
Mm. Assalamu alaikum, Mr. Eric Colon. I did a video with Mr. Eric Colon a few days ago talking about the African traditions. It's a good video. For those watching, if you guys want to do it, it's on my page. So just sending a shout out to Mr. Eric Colon. It's a real good video. Yes, I'm not going back to the to Royal here. Yes, that's one of my beliefs too. It's like don't do harms to others just for the hell of it. It's good to protect yourself. And if somebody is, throwing back a lot of negative for you and you just want to give him a lesson, then go ahead, but as a protection thing. But just for the hell of it to do it, or because somebody wants to come to you and say, here, I offer this amount of money, I tell them, you see my door? The way you came in, the way you go out. Now, as a protection, yes, I will get down, I will get dirty.
Yeah.
Justina says, the Leo solar eclipse water, I made 9 jars, LOL. Justina's another person that loves, she's on your page, she loves
Oh,
astrology.
yeah.
And she's also a believer that astrology has to do a lot with this, with the work of magical and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, do you incorporate your magic or your feelings, your practices into your paintings?
Yeah. Actually, let me show you something that I'm working on. This is
Good.
my, and I'm not done yet. I just started. This is my Jupiter and Sagittarius box. This is kind of like an offering to Jupiter. I'm gonna put, some stuff in it, and um, and I've started adding sigils and symbolism in my paintings. That's also astrologically, you know, aligned.
Now you're in Houston, right? I mean, just for the audience, you're in Houston, and I know you go once in a while, and I see the murals on your Facebook that you paint and stuff. You have a lot of good talent.
Thank you.
And I just want to let everybody know out there, Sagittarius, we're the best. I always say that. I had to. I had to. There's something with Saggy and being intuitive. Um, is there anything else that you will recommend as your spiritual journey goes? Anything else that you will recommend on people that want to start their journey but they don't know where to go?
Um, yeah, I have. So, you can't really screw it up. A lot of people are afraid to do magic, and somebody was like, "Aren't you afraid something something because of magic?" And I'm like, "Well, I drive my car every day, and car accidents are a lot more dangerous than magic, and we still drive it every day. So we have to take these calculated risks in order to do the things that we want to do." Um, and then there's also read a lot. You'll be reading a lot. So reading is really important if you want to get started in magic. And don't just read one person, one author. Read a bunch of books of the same subject from different authors and get a more wider range of point of views, because then you're just going to be idolizing one person. So whenever
Exactly.
I want something, I want to learn about astrology, I'll like find five different people to teach me astrology. And that's, provided me with a wider range of information than just picking one person. Um,
Who would
and
you
it's a,
recommend? Who,
Ooh,
on your thing, sorry, for
no
the
problem.
astrologers.
So I follow Aeolian Heart. I learned astrology, beginning astrology with her. She's really amazing and she's a wonderful writer. The language of astrology is really poetic. I follow her. And then there's this one lady called the Sky Priestess
Mhm.
on Facebook, and she's always posting some really technical astrological readings. I can't understand a lot of it, but whenever she tells me she writes about the themes, it's pretty accurate. Um, and then there's this book called The Inner Sky, and that's a good beginning book that
Mhm.
everybody would probably benefit from reading. Um, and just a bunch of different blogs, lots of blogs. We're in that one astrology group that you added me in. That's pretty
Oh
hilarious
yes.
too.
Yeah, those yeah. Justina actually introduced me to that group, Astrology Memes, and it's a way of learning in a fun way.
Yeah,
You know, if you put your mind into it, it's like they put the pictures up there and then they'll describe the person, and you're like, oh, so this is how Leo acts.
yeah.
This are how Gemini's act. And she's saying Lara. Have you heard of Lara?
Mm-mm.
And yeah, and what's the other guy? There's another Indian guy that I follow. I keep forgetting his name. KTR or I keep forgetting his name. Just is he has a lot of videos there on astrology. Also, Santos, but he's more into the Christian type of astrology, Santo Vianacci, something like that, you know. In the Congo cosmology, astrology is very okay with cosmologically focused. Can you see the comments? On
No.
a personal fundamental understanding of the universe. Exactly, exactly. Yes, Lara. So Eric alone shares something but like I said, not many houses, like for example, I know a lot of tatas that don't follow astrologies and like the African traditions. And I'm like, well, Santos Benachi, yes, that him. Um, and a lot of Congo practice, they don't follow. And I'm like, but astrology has to do with the stars, it has to do with the movements. Why not follow astrology and incorporate that into a practice is very important. You know,
I think
um,
I think it's also important not to have such a strict view of people's paths. And that's why I'm kind of like I don't know what I want to do particularly. Like I don't know if I can stick to one path. And that's why it's always good to incorporate. And I hope that all these different paths are open to learning to incorporate new things too, because we now have more information more than ever. It's good to apply things that work.
yeah, and I believe also that it's very important. For example, when we talk about the zodiacs, as a Sagittarius. Yes, the Patipembas actually do talk about that, but like I said, Mr. Colon, a lot of Tatas, don't understand that, or a lot of this New Age Tatas don't understand that Patipembas have to do a lot of with astrology, and that's why I also invite them into that. We could probably do a live video on that, Mr. Colon, to talk about that whenever you're ready. But yes, for example, me, you, being Sagittarius, we're always gonna put our hands into that because we want knowledge. We don't stick just to one practices. We are students of knowledge. Yes, KRS is the other one. KRS, I don't know if you heard of him.
Mm-mm.
Uh, Always want to put our little fingers into that and practice because we are the gurus of the zodiac signs. We want to know everything out there. That's the great thing about being Saggy. Also, Gemini, with their intellectual minds, sticking, learning about here, learning about that. But as Sagittarius, we want to lift up those rock and look underneath the rock. So that's why I have that connection with you, and I'm like, yes, I know where Royal's coming from.
Yeah, yeah.
But in a lot of traditions, like I have somebody very close to me who is practices African magic, and And unfortunately, he taught me a lot. And when I talked to him about astrology, he was like, "No, we don't do that in Congo," And I'm like, "Oh, well, according to this other stuff, we do." But it's very important that we bring that into astrology. I mean, astrology into our cultures and our religions because it helps a lot. When I do a reading, the first thing I ask is, "Give me your date of birth." Then I look at the risings. I look at the moon, and I look at their son. Um, Luckily I was introduced to that, and then my reading is very smooth. Then I'm on point most of the time. So a lot of people think that in astrology, I know we got off topic and now we're talking about astrology, but that's how the interviews go. A lot of people just believe that it's you just have your sun, which
Yeah.
is Leo, Sagittarius, and it's amazing that a lot of people don't know that we have three signs that follow us. Do you want to describe that a little bit more?
So the sun is our essence, but then we also have all the other planets like Jupiter, Saturn. The rising is the sign that's in the horizon at the time of our birth. And then there's the moon. The moon is how our innermost feelings, how we feel inside, emotions, etc. The rising is basically the mask that we wear to the world. So if you feel like you're Sagittarius, but then you have a Cancer rising, maybe people feel that you're a lot more emotional or a lot more, introverted than a Sagittarius.
The Cancer
Um,
moon, yes, I know.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then so there's also Jupiter. Jupiter is the part of ourselves that love to learn, that are how we give, how we um, how we travel and navigate the world. Mars is our convictions, how we go to war with the world whenever we're wronged or whenever we're angry, and however we start things. So Mars is the will, the power. Um, and then there's Venus, love, art, the finer things in life. And yeah, so, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Well, yes. Once again, guys, please, look into astrology is very important. I'm just giving suggestion. Don't, you don't have to listen to me. You don't have to listen to Royal, but astrology is a big part. Even if whatever you practice, if you bring into astrology and stuff, yes, the sex part with your Venus and stuff. Like I have my Venus in Aquarius, so but my Lilith saves me. A lot of people actually don't understand the Lilith part, but once I got into it, I was like into it. And like Lilith is like a little bit of the dark side of us, the little magic of us. Now going back into I never understood the specific things about astrology, and my husband and I were just discussing it last night. I felt so uniform trying to talk to him. Okay, so we're gonna get off a little bit of the subject, and I want to know about Royals. Wow, they're hitting on astrology now. So I don't know. Can you read the comments?
I cannot. I can't see it unless I turn. Let me see if I turn my phone.
No, if you turn it, you'll be upside down. I think you have to like swipe it.
Oh, I see. I see. Okay. Okay. I've never understood these specific things about astrology. Okay, so the first thing you'd have to do is grab your natal chart. And there's 12 houses in the natal chart, and each house has a theme. Um, and then the planets are how you act in that theme. So if you have so the 10th house, for example, is the house of careers and the house of the ego. So it's basically how the world views you in how the community views you. And so if you have a Saturn there, you want the way that the community views you will be studious, disciplined, etc. But then if you also have a Saturn in Sagittarius, Saturn and Sagittarius are kind of like opposing energies. It's basically like A Saturn in Sagittarius is basically like forcing a hippie to wear a tie to work and then giving up living in a van and then working for the corporate world. That's basically what Saturn and Sagittarius is. And that's what I have, and that's basically how I feel. It's like I'm
Mm.
this weird hippie person, but I have to work for the man. That's Saturn and Sagittarius.
Mhm. Now, Mr. Colon, I don't know if you read Mr. Colon's comment there. Now, Mr. Colon, if you go to astrologycafe.com and then you go into natal charts and then you input your information, it'll tell you your rising, it'll tell you your sun, and it'll tell you your moon. But then if you scroll all the way down, you get a lot, like a reading, what we call a baka. It's almost like a baka, but more into detail, and it's just amazing. If you haven't done that, I would suggest that you try it and let me know what you think. You know, because it's a live reading. Like in my chart, it even tells me how I'm gonna die, and I was like, wow. When yes, yes, and it told me why I went into this religions, and it told me exactly how my father and my mother described my father and my mother to the point. Yes, Amy put the link in there. You guys could go and hit that and put all your information. Well, that's the easy. It's very easy to go in there, just input date of birth and stuff. Now, I'm gonna get out the subject a little bit. I know you guys are talking about astrology there, you know. Um, Now, about how the Royals family, or Marilu, you said?
Marilu.
Marilu. Oh,
Sorry,
wow, that's
Marilu.
beautiful. Marilu. Okay, how did Marilu's family felt when Marilu said, "Well, you know what? I don't want to be this Catholic thing anymore. I want to be a bruja. I want to be a witch. I want to do that." How do you handle that?
You know what? I was surprised because my mom, she's Catholic, but she's also Filipino. So she's already got that like bruja blood inside her, and she doesn't even know she's being a bruja. You know what I mean? She does all these like protection magic at home, but she doesn't consider it protection magic. It's just like, oh, this is just a thing that I learned from my grandma. And it's like, that's protection magic, you know? She has all these saints to protect different parts of the house. She has bells on the door, and so she's really open to it. And I think it's basically like the subconscious part of her. Whenever I told her, like, Mom, this is what I believe now. I think that subconscious part of her is like, remember, this was you too. Like this is where we all come from. So she's really open about it. Um, Last week actually I was doing a working that included like my family and my loved ones, and I needed a piece of them, so I asked for all of their hair and I went around the family cutting people's hair, and they allowed me to do it. They're
Oh,
like, oh
wow.
yeah, so they're okay with it.
Oh, wow. Yeah, a lot of people, like, for example, since I started doing this live series, live shows, it's like I have family of mine that have unfriended me, but I have the reason why I do this is because I want to bring a little bit of knowledge to all those people who are thinking about joining a spiritual path, joining a practice and don't know where to start, don't know how to look for their spiritual teachers. Um, they need to know how, for example, you need to see how your spiritual teachers live and stuff, Um, but it's funny, like right now, Justina's talking about the Philippines, that's I know her family or her partners and stuff come from the Philippines, but the Philippine magic is very strong. Like I said in the beginning, it's like espiritismo. Also before the Spaniard came, they prayed to the god of the water. They prayed to the god of the rain. They prayed to the god of the corn. They prayed to the god
Yeah,
of the earth. It's like every other culture except for the Abrahamic cultures
yeah,
believe in different goddesses, and that's why it's like tricky. It's like the Abrahamic cultures just believe in one God, supreme God, but then again they have all these angels for everything, where our cultures we believe in the supreme being, female and masculine and feminine energy, so that's a beautiful dog. uh, Oh, and that's also part of that Filipino culture. But with the colonization, with the Catholic came, it was like it's gone, and now you can hardly find anything on the Filipino cultures, you know. So I probably understand, but it's when you have started practicing, it's like a door that has opened, and now like you say, your mother does things unconsciously, but
Hmm.
those are her own spiritual guides. That's her own like family ancestors saying, guiding her, do this, do
Yeah.
that, do that, And now with you getting them involved with a piece of hair, it's like that culture is reawakened with you because once you start going into a religious practice, it doesn't matter. Your senses are open. That door is open. Now your ancestors could now communicate with you.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, and what's interesting is I actually called my mom during All Saints Day, Dia de los Muertos, and we
Hmm.
were doing a Day of the
You
Dead
practice that
routine.
too in the Filipinos?
Yeah, it's called All Saints Day or All Souls Day. So it's
Oh,
basically
wow.
Dia de los Muertos, but you know, in my culture. Okay. Um, I asked her like, could you provide me with some of the names of our recently departed so I can add them to our ritual? And she's like, so she gave me some, but she's like, can you also add? And then she started listing all these people that she wanted to include in my ritual. So it's really humbling to because my mom and I had such a rough like relationship growing up, and
Yeah,
I feel like
yeah.
now it's like she's opening up and we're talking about magic, and it's really
Mm, interesting, interesting. And your group that I joined recently, and your group, I don't know if you want to invite people to that group. I mean, because there's different type of elements there and stuff. If you want to,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know, for those that are interested, I know they talk about crystal magic, they talk about tarot readings, herbalism. I have my little Santa Muerte and my African, stuff in there too. So it's a group that talks about everything. It's not just a certain thing. Is actually everything, even meditation and stuff. So I don't know if you want to invite them and tell them
yeah.
about.
So my friend Crystal and I we're admins for this secret page called Mellow Mystic Society. If you guys want to be added, just leave a comment in this video and I will add you guys as a friend and then add you to the group. It's not a public group right now, and I think that we've kept the integrity of the group because there's not that many people in it. So it's basically we want to invite folks who want to contribute and are open to learning and have these discussions. We also encourage people not to post so much memes because it is we want to keep it educational and a forum for learning mostly. I think that there's already so many Wicca magic groups out there that share only memes, so we want to keep the integrity with just education, strict education, strict learning.
Okay. So, where do you see Royal in a couple of years? Does Royal want to keep this like for self practice, or does Royal later on want to become a spiritual teacher where she's gonna share her knowledge?
Well, um, I'm working with Cam to become a priestess. So I'm hoping that once I become a priestess, I can share my knowledge. Right now, I'm working through this. The confidence aspect of sharing knowledge, like I don't want to screw it up, but I know that if I keep my heart open and my intentions clear, then as long as I do all of that, then everything will fall into place. I do want to knowledge share. I think everybody can benefit from the philosophy, even just the philosophical aspects of magic and alchemy. They could benefit if they're not gonna do workings, as long as they transform their inner selves through magic and alchemy and spiritual philosophy. Like that's a goal for me. Like that's wonderful.
Okay, that's great. Um, now, let's say they want to start practicing what you do. Is there like when you say, do you want to graduate, is there like a certificate that you get, a paper certificate, like saying that you're a witch now, or you graduated, like college, like a witch college, or like some, not making fun of it, but the perfect example is like a Harry Potter, school, like I said, I'm not making fun of it.
No,
It's
no, no.
the only example that came into my mind. School magic, and then after the end of the day, you get like a certificate saying Royal blah 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 graduated from blah blah blah.
I don't think it's a tangible certificate, but like an initiation and an energy exchange. So you get this level. There's a ceremony to level up as a priestess. And then, if I so choose, I can continue on the path to become a high priestess in that path. But I love that Cam is very open to the path. Like you can be a green witch, but you can also be a Catholic. You can be a green witch and you can practice root work, or be a Buddhist. It's all open. But the principles and the learning, it's all kind of based in nature. So that's all what the green witch path is, really.
Okay. Now I'm going to ask you just a few more questions before we end up here. That is, everybody always asks this. Have you had any experience with spirits, with seeing spirits? Have you had any hunting situations where you see a spirit and you get hunted, or you basically have a scare in your life?
I feel like it I've never physically with my eyes, but my knowing, there's this inner knowing, like, okay, there's something here. Not just because of a situation, but there have been many times where I felt protected. Growing up, I was a dumbass and I did a lot of stupid stuff that could have gotten me killed, could have landed me in jail, or could have gotten me seriously hurt. But somehow I walked away from things unscratched, uninjured, and still completely myself. I feel like I'm being guided or I'm being protected. And people have approached me, people with the sight, to tell me stuff that's around, even though I've never seen them myself. But there's people who have the sight that have told me, hey, like, I don't know if you know this, and they'll tell me something, or some random person from the street will be like, I feel your energy, something is happening here. And so they tell me these things, um, but I've never physically seen them myself. I'm working on it.
That's something that happens here in Houston a lot. It's like a lot of people walking out there. Houston is like a very spiritual place. And that's happened to me before. I'm walking around and they say, "Hey, can I tell you something?" And you have this person. I'm like, "Dude, I know. I practice this. I'm a tata. I mean, But keep going. I give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm like, keep going. I want to know if. So they're like, this walks with you and stuff. I'm like, hey, great, great, cool, thank you. And then they invite me to the things. Sometimes I go, sometimes I don't. Um, Now, your magical practice, is there anything that you want to share with us? Like, for example, um, maybe a little spell on how, like a cleansing, something easy, a cleansing to purify yourself. Is there anything that Royal would like to share with us? A little bit of her knowledge, something that's not going to get you in trouble with your practices and with Kim. So,
Yeah, no. So my cleansing regimen is basically taking a spiritual bath. I know you showed a video of a spiritual bath that you did, but mine is actually sitting in the bath with salts and herbs like hyssop, chamomile, and a lot of the cleansing herbs, etc. And I sit in there for a little bit. Um, I intentionally visualize any negativity um, going into the bath, and then when I pull the plug so the water comes down, I imagine the negativity like washing away, and then I take a shower. And of course, I sage my whole house. I sage everything, like all the corners of the house. But before that, I should have said this. Before taking the bath, before saging, I thoroughly clean the house. And that's another thing, is anything can be magic. you can draw sigils on your soap for cleansing and protection, and you
Hmm.
can bathe with that, and that's like a magical thing. You can visualize cleaning or mopping your floors. You're removing negative energy. Hey, Suits. As a magical practice. So cleaning is a magical practice. So clean the house thoroughly, dust, etc., then sage, and then bathe. So that's what I do. I say prayers, and then I say sometimes I'll say prayers. Sometimes I'll be like, "Get the fuck out of my house, negative energy. I don't want you here. Everybody here is protected." Um, and then I also have protection around my home. After I do the cleansing, I walk around with black salt in the perimeter of my home and just put black salt for protection.
You know, that's a great idea. I never thought about that about making a sigil and the soap. You know, you just gave me a great idea. You know, see, we learn things from each other. You know, never thought about
Yeah.
making a sigil on the soap. That's great. And a lot of people, you know, don't understand that they go straight to doing a cleansing to themselves, either a cleansing or a spiritual bath, or they go to a shaman or someone else who practice this. They get a cleansing, but they don't understand that that energy is also in your house, and you need to
Yeah.
get it out of your house. You know, it's
Yeah.
just common sense. You know,
Yeah.
if you walk around and it's not only in your house, but if you have a partner, you just transfer that energy to your partner, you transfer it to your pets, you transfer it to your kids, and that's when your pets start getting sick, you know. And that's why I always encourage people to have pets, just in case somebody throws at you, your pet will pick it up real fast, you know.
Hmm. Oh,
And
wait, wait,
it's
before we move forward, I wanted to share this. This is just lying here perfectly. This is I made a sigil, a protective sigil and cleansing sigil, and this is I made my own like hair oils and body oil. So this one I spray on my body, and it's good for your skin, and it's also protective magically. So I use essential oils um that are that have magical correspondences in protection and health, etc. And I just, spray it on myself.
And that's the other difference, you know, that people don't also understand. They think that you can buy everything at the Juju shop. It's better when you make things yourself because you're putting your intent in an oil. You put in an intent in a bath. You don't know what you're getting in the Juju shop. You don't know if that oil is the real oil. And it's better, you know, if you, for example, if you have an enganga, if you're a tata, it's better for you to scrape the stick and make your own oils, you know, and add it, rompesar away, you know, benami, whatever, and you know, make your own money oils because you have no idea what they're selling to you in that juju shop. Yes, you might waste a little bit of more money. Like for example, I make my own Florida water, but then I also, when I feel lazy, I buy Florida water, you know. But if I run out of my Florida water, then I go ahead and use the regular Florida water. Um, it's just better because when you make something on your own, you're putting your own intentions.
And making it, the process of making it could be a meditation which charges the intention of what you're making it for. So while I'm sitting here making these oils, I'm putting the intention of cleansing, I'm putting the intention of protection, and then I'm making it like I'm customizing it. Like, what if I'm allergic to, cedar, and then there's cedar in the water? So it's like you can do your own stuff. It's art. Magic is art. So you can do it however you want.
Okay. Or like Justina said, that's another example. I put rosemary into my mop water, and basically she uses rosemary to bless her house and mop her house, you know. So, if there are any questions, guys, please ask them before we finish this, because a lot of people after the video's done, it's like they're asked the questions, and then it's too late to answer them because I hardly go back. So please ask your questions before we end up with this interview with Royal. Um, Now, here in Houston, is there, for example, where do you get your materials? A lot of people ask me, and I always recommend, you know, Pixie and Tent, because I love Pixies. But where else in Houston could you basically look for materials that you need? Do you go, for example, A lot of my things I get it from the wild, from the parks, my herbs and stuff. But that's because I learned and I about the herbs, and I would suggest that you learn before because you don't want to pick, for example, poison ivy or poison oak, and then you bathe with it, and then you have this. Yeah, I had somebody with experience, and they picked poison ivy, and they scrubbed their whole body with it, and then they don't understand why their crack was itchy,
And then
and
they're
it ended up.
probably thinking it's like, oh my God, the spirits are punishing me. Oh,
Wow. Yeah, my spirit, I'm doing something wrong. The devil's punishing me, but it's common sense. If you don't know what you're doing, ask. That's what we're here for. That's why we make these videos. It's like if you don't know what wild sage is, look it up. There's pictures up there. If you don't know what albahaca is, if you don't know what bedo blanco is, ask. That's why people like us are here. Not everybody's out there to get you for money.
yeah,
Um, and
yeah.
that's why we make these videos.
They also you asked for recommendations. Pixies and Tent is a wonderful place. And then also Midtown Mojo, um, Doc or Absalom, he owns the place. He's amazing. Does a lot of root work and what else? There's the Magic Cauldron, and then there's also whenever there's like magic pop-up shops, Doc has a lot of events where there's pop-ups of different vendors with magical items. There's also Thorn and Moon Magical Market. You can buy candles there and oils. That happens once a month. And I think that's once a month, the first Friday or the last Friday. But Thorn and Moon Magical Market. That's they have a Facebook. And then there's a bunch too online, and I can't figure it up off the top of my head, but I'll post it in the link or in the comments.
Now, if somebody wants an oil made by you, do you send it to them, at a price, I guess? Do you work with that and well are willing to say here, try this out? I
A
know a lot of
lot
people
of
do it.
the things that I'm doing right now is pro bono. I'm like practicing and learning, and I don't wanna sell my stuff without trying it first. So a lot of
Hmm.
the stuff that I'm doing, I'm only happy to share it because it's been successful for me. Um, and so I don't wanna start selling things and then, I haven't tried it out yet. So everything that I share, it's for free and it's because it's worked for me.
Okay. Guys, also, if you guys work with a Santa Muerte, I know Janelle has some product out there if you're interested. I know Alex also, if you guys are in Alex's page, he has some good product out there too with the Santa Muerte. Well, there aren't there apps where you can take a picture and the app will tell you about the plant.
Yes,
Not
I
that I
have
know
that.
of.
I have that. I don't know the name of the app right now, but I do have it and I'll post that on the link in the comments too.
Okay, no, I don't. I was just, I'm old school and I was just taught with my godfather smacking me in the head and said, "Nope, that's not wild sage." That's the way I was taught. But that's back in the days where spiritual teachers were like your father and your mother, and they used to smack you in the head and say, "Nope." But it's our tradition, and that's what we got ourselves into. Nowadays, spiritual teachers are different. They're more like nicer. uh, than before when I started practicing. But yeah, anything else you would like to share? You want to share some art or anything, whatever.
Let me see. I have one astrology themed piece right now.
Mhm.
And it's called Blood Moon in Gemini. And
That's a lot of artwork in there, girl.
oh yeah, this me and my fiance are artists. So this is Blood Moon and Gemini. I don't know if you can see that clearly. Um,
Oh, Amy's gonna love that. Look at that.
yeah, so I incorporated um the indigenous people of my country. I futurized them and then I made them twins and turned it into a magical painting. And
Oh,
then let me see. This is art by my friend Roshi. So she puts a lot of symbolism in her artwork as well. And this is Lingo. And this is my fiance. He painted me.
oh wow, that's pretty good. Look at that. Oh, shamanistic looking.
Yeah, and right now this is like our art wall with a bunch of different work from different people. Yeah.
Okay, so you do put symbolism in your art and stuff, which is good. A lot of people don't do that. So,
Yeah. Yeah. It's magical. Everything.
mm. So, guys, any questions before we wrap this up? I know people ask questions, and then after that, the video's over, and then they go with the question. Then it's too late. We don't answer them. So I'll give you a few minutes, or we're gonna go ahead and anything else you'd like to share with us, bro, before, traditional or
Um, I wanna suggest that whenever you do a working to do something, make sure that you open up channels based on the working that you're doing. I know that there are people who will do a money spell or a money working and then won't do anything different with their lives, kind of like you're looking for a job, so you do a money work or like a job spell, but then you don't look for a job. Like it's not just gonna land on your lap. Um, so you do have to work towards things. Magic is just like the push. It's just a push. You have to always be working towards something, and it just doesn't happen miraculously. It doesn't apparate in front of our eyes.
yes. And a lot of people also start doing magical stuff, but they don't put protection on themselves.
Protection.
Opening portals and not protecting themselves, because they think they're badass or something, or basically because they don't know.
Mhm.
So, there's a lot of things that, it goes into that. It's not as simple as a book tells you, but, that's why I say there's people out there that you can ask. And that's the reasons why I do this type of things to get the little, drop of water from that cup and fill your cup with knowledge. So, and that's why we interview different things. So, guys, next Friday, just before I forget, I don't know if Royal, if you heard of Sancista Brujo Luis. Um,
I saw you posting about him, and now I'm curious.
yeah, he has a lot of books on Spiritismo, and you can look at that too, because there's a lot of stuff that they practice in the Philippines too, and the Caribbeans. So I'm gonna be interviewing Sancista Brujo Luis on Friday. I'm also trying to get Alex Dean with Mexican folklore, and a lot of different people. So please share those videos. So all those people out there that are looking for knowledge could see those things. So well, I guess there weren't no questions. So let's wrap this up unless you have something else to say.
No. And if there are questions after the video, I'll try to answer them in the comments as well.
Okay. Remember, guys, mellow mistakes, but that's, if you're very serious about learning something, you can ask questions there. I'm in that page. If I don't know, if I know something, I will answer it. If you guys are into tarot cards, I know there's, what's the guy's name? Law?
Law Stewart?
Law.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
Law.
Law Stewart. He's into tarot cards and stuff. He's also, I believe, a photographer, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I think Doc is there too.
Yes, yes.
So, there's crystal magic, astrology in there. It's a little bit of everything. Royal has done a good job with the page. So, well, I guess we're done with the interview. So, thank you, Royal. It was nice seeing you. We should
Thank you.
probably get together one day when Amy's around here. And I have a silly question. All right, Justina, ask your silly question. We could get together with Amy because she's like loves art, and I really want to take her to like different art places, and
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
coffee and stuff. Maybe have some adobo.
Yes. Oh my gosh, there's a lot of good places here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we wait. Justina, you have a question? Hmm.
Language.
Oh well. Anyways, I don't think she has a question. So, anyways, thank you, and may you have many blessings in your path, and make it be easy for you that you can get to wherever you want, and
Thank you.
become the high priestess, and then show us a little bit more of your knowledge. So, thank you once again, Royal. You
Thanks
have
for
a blessed
inviting
day.
me.
Yeah. All right. Thank
Have a
you.
good one. Thanks. Bye bye.